Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Blades and Beat. About a couple of weeks ago, I did a review for you in regards to this little guy. This is the Benchmade 945 Mini Osborne. Awesome little knife, and tell you the truth, since then, this has been my go-to knife that I've been carrying with me every single day. I have absolutely no issues with it, but the main thing is that as sharp and as nice as this black handle looks, to me it's reminiscent of, well, back in the 90s when the liner lock was just coming out. Most of the knives that you see have a black handle. So today I want to mod things up, change it up so where it's going to be a little bit more fitting for me, and I'll show you on how to disassemble your knife and as well as dye your scales. Let's check it out. So before we get started, these are just some of the materials that I'll be using. I have me a bottle of RIT dye. The color that I chose is the smoky blue, and I prefer the synthetic. I find that it works better on plastic than the multi-purpose one. Of course, a pair of gloves, unless you don't mind coming into work and looking like a Smurf. And you can use either string or wire. In this case, I'll be using some paper clips so I can keep the handle suspended while I'm dyeing it. Some acetone or rubbing alcohol, even detergent. You want to make sure that you want to get rid of all the grease and residue from your handle before trying to dye it. Some Q-tip, and it's up to you, but I prefer having a little bit of a Loctite. This way the screws are not going to move or budge when assembling the knife. There's a precision screwdriver. You'll be needing a Torx size 6. And as well as a Torx bit number 8 for the pivot. This is what I like to do. I like to straighten out the paper clip, and once it's completely straightened out, what I like to do is that I like to create a small loop and just put it in the first hole there. Again, it's just a way for you to keep your handle suspended while you're dyeing it. And here is the other one. Once we have a way to suspend the handles or the scales, what I like to do is I like to grab some acetone. Again, you can use rubbing alcohol, detergent, some sort of a cleaner. And I will just put a little bit of it on a piece of paper towel here. And I'm just going to wipe down the scale. Again, it's important that there's absolutely zero residue that's on the scale. Otherwise the dye is not going to stick on it. Make sure you get it all, even right down to the little crevices and the holes. The first thing that we're going to do is that we're just going to fill up a pot. By the way, little word of advice, make sure it's a pot that you don't care for. I don't think your wife will appreciate that you'll be staining a bunch of her expensive pots and pans. So this is just a little little pan that I picked up from the thrift store for only $2. And what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to fill it up just enough so your scales will be submerged. That should be good. Then we're going to boil this. You don't need to have it a hard boil. I prefer just a low simmer. You'll grab your die, just give it a little bit of a shake. Again, you want to be very careful. The last thing you want to do is stain yourself or your kitchen. And what I like to do, I like to give it just a little bit of a splash. And you just want to give it a little bit of a stir. Then you want to grab your scales, put a bend in that little paper clip, and just let it hang over the pot or the pan. Just lay it in there gently. It's been about 5 minutes since I placed the scales in this pot. I like to check on it every 5 minutes and just kind of lift it up to see if you got the color that you want and in the right shade. I think I'll leave it in there for another 5 minutes and I'll check on it again. It's been 10 minutes now. We'll check on it again. That looks pretty good. I don't want it to be too dark. And once that is done, turn this off. That looks like the shade that I want them to be. From here, what you need to do is that you want to rinse off all the excess dye under cold water. And I like to just scrub it with a little bit of soap. And this way, you know that all the excess dye is pretty much washed off. There you are. That is a good shade, I think. And from here, we're just going to let them sit and let it dry for a little bit. We'll get back to it.